times. Any unattended baggage will be removed and may be destroyed by security services.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very special stream where we discuss Train Sim World 4, featuring the British Ace and MegaSim tonight. We will be starting at 20:30 in about 7.5 minutes. 8.5 minutes.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Mind the gap.
everyone, welcome to this very special Dad Rail stream featuring MegaSim and the British Ace. We will be starting in 5 minutes. Just a quick disclosure, there will be no new Train Sim World 4 content in this stream. However, we will be discussing it, taking your questions and
Passengers are reminded that smoking is prohibited at all stations and on all train services. This includes e-cigarettes. safety announcement. It is not permitted to cycle, skateboard or rollerblade within the station building.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are we doing this evening? 127 of you lovely people in, which is absolutely amazing. Welcome to this very special live stream where we are going to be discussing the recent announcement of Train Sim World 4. I am joined by some very special guests in this live stream. If you're watching me, then you've certainly watched these two. Say hello, Stephen, aka MegaSim. And Joe, aka the British Ace.
Hello everyone, I'm also here, so how are you as well?
Hopefully you can hear Stephen and Joe okay. If you can't, then do let me know in the chat and I shall get that turned up a little bit. Fingers crossed you can though. So in today's stream, we're going to be discussing the recent announcement of Train Sim World 4. We're going to be taking some of your questions and also giving you our opinions on the game and on the release. Some of them are negative, some of them are positive. For full disclosure, and I want to be completely honest about this, so I'm a Dovetail Games ambassador, as is Joe and Stephen, and I'll let them speak for themselves. But I'm not employed by Dovetail Games. Dovetail Games have absolutely no control over the content I put out. Yes, they took me to their offices, they took us all to their offices and took us out for dinner and looked after us before the announcement of Train Sim World 4, but my view is entirely my own. There are some things I will absolutely stick up for the devs for, some things I disagree with people, and likewise there's also things that, you know, that I agree with. So I'm going to be trying to be as honest and unbiased as I can. If you think I'm being biased towards the devs, that's absolutely fine. It's alright for us to disagree, not a problem at all. That's what we're all here for at the end of the day. So, have you got anything to add to that, guys?
No, I think you've pretty much summed that up. We're not paid. Not paid at all. Yes, we get the software DLCs for free, which is a teeny tiny little bonus, but no, we don't get paid. Our opinion is our own. If we like it, we'll say it. If we don't, we don't. And there could be some routes where we have no knowledge about. So what may look good to us, for someone else that knows exactly everything about that route is, yeah, they may say you're lying, you know, the sound isn't exact. It's like, well, if I don't know what that sound is like, then it sounds good to me. So yeah. But if I'm critical with something, I will say it, and that was, you know, big example, Midland Main Line.
And for me, it would be, well, the Brighton Main Line, which is just...
Not your favourite route, Joe?
Well, it is my favourite route, but it's certainly isn't the best quality. But anyway,
something I'd definitely like to see improve. Maybe we can discuss that a bit later on during the stream. So, I have just alluded to it, but I've absolutely got to say it again. I'm trying to find all the right buttons because there's a lot going on tonight. So yeah, all the views and opinions expressed within this stream are solely my own, may not reflect those of any companies I may be employed by or associated with. And I'm guessing the same goes for Joe and Stephen as well. Hopefully you can hear them in the chat. Yeah, Den Baker says better, thank you, no worries at all. So, just a quick disclosure, there is going to be no new Train Sim World 4 content in this. We're not going to be showing you anything that hasn't been revealed already. We're not going to be telling you anything that hasn't been revealed already, partly because everything you've been told is pretty much what we've been told. So, we are going to be jumping in playing some Train Sim World 3 while we have the conversation, so it's not just me on the screen. But yeah, there is going to be no new content. So if you come here hoping to see new content, I'm sorry that we've got nothing we can show you, but we can certainly have a chat about what we do know. So as we go through, we are of course going to be playing Locomotive Location Livery. If you've not seen that before, you will definitely get the hang of it as we go along. So, oh, the music stopped, that's better. Train Sim at World 4, got some screenshots on the screen there. So just in case you don't know who you're talking to, let's see if this works. There we are on the screen now. So that is Stephen MegaSim on the left, Joe the British Ace in the middle, and that's me, of course, on the right-hand side. There are links to Joe and Stephen's channels in the description, so please do go down and sub to them, just like Sebastian has done. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Absolutely brilliant. So let's press that button there. I'll get some Train Sim World 3 loaded up, and then we will start a conversation. So what are we doing? To the trains. We'll do Southeastern High Speed because that's quite an easy one to do while we're chatting. There's inevitably going to be numerous amounts of tea and biscuits with the manager today, but we'll see how it goes. So let's do an Ashford up to St Pancras, then we'll do a St Pancras down to Faversham or something like that. We'll see how it goes. We're going to be streaming until around about 10 o'clock. So guys, I'll start off the conversation. First route that was announced, well, the UK route, I think that's probably the most important one to everyone here, as most of us here are from the UK. East Coast Mainline, Peterborough to Doncaster. What are your thoughts on that?
I suppose I'll go first. My thoughts on it, I'm looking forward to it. I do feel it might become a bit like a Castle Würzburg, where it just gets quite boring. But I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a bit of variety on it. So hopefully the service mode is done by Joe, and hopefully we get lots of different trains which we can drive on it from other routes. But I think is it just the 158 and the 66? So yeah, hopefully we get a bit of variety on it. As I think, yeah, one end to the other, 18 miles, 5 stations. It's going to get a little bit boring, I think, but I'm still looking forward to it. It's the East Coast Mainline either way. It's a new UK route, and it's the Azuma. So I think it's going to do very well, but I just hope I don't get bored of it.
I think. No. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go, Richard.
I think for me personally, and I can understand why they've wanted to do that route, but I think for me personally, I would like, and I think I probably speak for a lot of people, I would like to have seen the south section. Up to Peterborough. They said that's quite similar to what they've done previously with like the Brighton Main Line, and I understand that, but it just would have been nice to have some AC running for that gorgeous 700 that they've made, and it just seems like we're missing out on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I was on the LNER Azuma a couple of weeks ago, so what was it? We were there last Friday. I was on the Azuma the Wednesday before. So yeah, I went on it from Newark Northgate up to Newcastle. And I went for that Seat Frog upgraded, so I had the dine menu. That was pretty exciting. But yeah, we're not going to get any breakfast or access to toilets this time again. But yeah, I in the same way, you guys saying you would prefer King's Cross to Peterborough, I personally would have liked to have gone up to York. Maybe not as far as Newcastle, because that's a bit far, but I think Peterborough to York would have been a good one, because York is such a nice station. I know it's got a wide variety of different locos and trains that go there, which they're trying to... You see where Dovetail are coming from. They're trying to limit what's on the track with what they've got. I'm being totally honest here. I know we don't have the Lumo, we don't have the Paragons, the Hull trains and the Grand Central 180s and the new 221, but I think, yeah, if they had York, it would be right. Now we need the Nova 1s, the Nova 3s, the 185s, and that's when they'll probably go, nah, it's a bit empty. But Yeah, I think York should have been the one that it would end up at. I think personally.
Yeah. I think the section they've chosen, I think that ties in nicely with the whole Flying Scotsman thing. It's a racetrack section, and I can kind of see why they've done it. I think it's a little bit more interesting than the Midland Main Line because you've got a few more stations and different service patterns. But yeah, it's certainly not a bad route, but I don't think it would have been my first choice. I think is a good way of saying it. So just going through the chat, trying to see what people are saying. Yeah, Mono says there could have been lots of variety with the Northern City and the Hertford Loop lines, which raises a good point. Maybe with the East Coast Main Line, maybe we're going to get the branch round to Lincoln as well. That would be quite a nice addition to have on there. But we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. There's no Lumo, no whole trains or anything like that on there. So, there's possibility of extra trains being made, liveries. You could do something in the new livery designer, possibly put those services in, which would be pretty good.
Just a reminder, though, on that, though, with the Lincoln branches, you can't have the 801s. So remember, they've modelled the 801 because that's what they had access to. And the 801 is fully electric with one diesel engine on each car, which does a maximum of 5 miles an hour for emergency mode. I think they wanted the 800, but I don't think they got access to it. So having the Lincoln branch wouldn't really help because there's no overhead catenary around there. So the 801s wouldn't be going anywhere, would they?
No, absolutely. I remember Matt explained to us on the day, I think I'm allowed to say this, they wanted to do the 800, that was their kind of preferred train, and I reckon we probably would have seen that on the Great Western Main Line as well, on the Great Western Express. But obviously, LNER have got a railway to run. They're a railway company. Making computer games is the bottom of their list of priorities. So when they turned up at the depot, all LNER had was an 801. So they had to record the sounds and take the reference from the 801. Matt did say they could have bodged something together and turned it into an 800, but that wouldn't have been the right thing to do. They've made what they had access to, so they've authentically recreated it. And I think, as much as I would like to have had the 800, I think that was probably the right choice.
Just going about, obviously we've said it's not the East Coast Main Line South, but could this part of the East Coast Main Line open the basis for extensions? Because obviously they know a lot of people are waiting for the East Coast Main Line South. So from a business point of view, everybody will be getting this part of the East Coast Main Line, but then if they release an East Coast Main Line South, then they might get even more people getting this part of the East Coast Main Line to then access the East Coast Main Line South, or something like that. Does it open the basis for extensions?
I think extensions is a really good point. Just picking up on the game on the screen at the moment, that lighting is very broken. I think route extensions. I mean, the Midland Main Line's got huge capacity to be extended, and it'd just be interesting to see what happens with that in the end. Wookie 390s, hopefully they'll add a route extension down to King's Cross with the 91. Do not touch the live route says, can I still drive my class 395? Yes, any content you've got for Train Sim World 3 will automatically port over to Train Sim World 4. It won't necessarily have all the Train Sim World 4 features on it, but it will work. So you don't need to re-buy all your DLC. You will need to download it again, but you won't need to buy it again. So any content you've already got will still work, which is good news. And they have kind of said the Train Sim World to Train Sim World 2 to Train Sim World 3 transition wasn't very good, and that's something they're hoping they're going to get right this time. So fingers crossed for that.
And that's the same with Dark Sun as well, where you said about Midland, Nottingham to Derby. Will that go over to Train Sim World 4? Yes, it will. If you have it on Train Sim World 3, it will move over to Train Sim World 4. Plus, you will get the layers of the 158 from that DLC on East Coast Main Line as well. So that's a little bonus to add as well.
That'll be really, really good to have those layers. And I believe you get the 700s at Peterborough as well, which will pad it out a bit and make it look quite nice. So that's really good.
I think personally what I want to do is I want to see if somebody has a livery designer, 700, Great Northern, and create some sort of scenario, because we know that the Great Northerns go up the East Coast Main Line on this route. So, yeah, I'd like to see that, make a little scenario out of it.
What, the 387?
Well, you got 387, but you've also got these, what are the other ones? The Great Northerns. 717, yeah. They look like 700.
As far as Stevenage, because they come off the Hertford Loop. But you could probably do a 387 one, stick it in Great Northern and Peterborough somewhere.
I think that comes quite nicely onto the next one of the other features I wanted to talk about, which is the new, is it the free roam mode, I believe they're calling it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which is, for doing something like you've just said, is amazing, because when we were told about the free roam mode, we were told that wouldn't work on timetable mode. So basically you would load into a world that had nothing else in it, spawn whatever train you wanted, and off you go. But I did hear in the latest roadmap that now works with timetable mode. So you can jump into a timetable service, spawn something in, and away you go with all the other traffic in there and dynamic pathing, which that is a feature I'm actually quite excited for in the game.
People have sort of compared free roam to the God mode mod, so where you can sort of basically just do anything you want. So it'll be good fun. I suppose saves creating a scenario and scenario planner. Just go on any route you want, stick a train on and drive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. So let me know if the stream looks okay, guys, or whether it's lagging, because the Streamlabs looks smooth, but the actual YouTube connection looks like it's lagging. So yeah, let me know. I'd be quite interested to know if that's running out okay. Just trying to catch up with the chat. We got so many of you in tonight, which is brilliant. Formula 47, I can't wait to break free roam. Yeah, I can see there possibly being issues with that, you know, with the train dispatcher. It's got issues anyway, you know, where trains get stuck. So it'd be interesting to see how well it does support free roam. Hopefully, it's not going to have any issues though. DET trains, what is different from Train Sim World 3 to Train Sim World 4? Is it just a new number? Have you seen any of the keynotes, my friend? There is a lot. So just to give you a summary, so we're going to get Scenario Planner 2.0, Livery Creator 2.0. We've got a new free roam mode. We've got a photo mode going on. We've got a public editor for the PC. We've got 3 new routes going in, 5 new trains. We've got an upgrade to Dresden, which is one of my favourite, probably my favourite German route, if I'm being honest. Volumetric fog, some other graphical improvements. There's a lot gone on. There's a lot been packed into it. I think some of those features should have been free upgrades on the existing game. I don't support the idea that you should get everything for free. I don't support the idea that, you know, the whole game should have been a free upgrade, because these things take time to develop. But I think some of those things should have been a free upgrade.
Well, it was that time, you know, if we look at history, you know, Train Sim World 1 came out, TSW 2020 was a free update, but you paid for the routes. Train Sim World 2 was out, that was a new game. Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour, free update by the routes. So, in some ways it felt like it should have been, but I kind of see where they're coming from. There are a lot of big updates that we have got to Train Sim World 4, and I'm going to say it because, you know, they're a business, and, you know, this time it's about making money at the end of the day. If a business doesn't make money, it doesn't work. So I kind of see the extra effort that they have put into Train Sim World 4 does warrant a bit of a price thing, but that's why they've got the loyalty and they've got the pre-order discount. So, you know, if that's something that you're able to go for, you know, 20% or 25% on Steam, I think that's quite a decent chunk to take off.
Yeah, definitely. GTA Sandman said hasn't even been a year since the last release. So, yeah, for me personally, I think it is very soon. I think Train Sim World 3 maybe hadn't reached its full potential. Maybe we would have liked to have seen a few more DLCs for that, so people feel they're getting better value for money before we jump on to the next edition. For me personally, I do think it's a bit soon to be releasing. I think we would have been some free upgrades, and then sort of another full release in 6 months' time or something like that would have worked. But again, that's just my opinion, and I get the whole kind of they're a business thing. But yeah, I think it's a bit soon. But as Artful says, at least people that own the game already are getting a 25% discount. So there is some reward as well, which is good.
And I would also say the value for money for the deluxe edition, I think it's £52.99, which sounds quite a lot, but then for what you're getting, I think I worked it out as about £110, £120 worth of content if you don't have Rita Dresden for £52.99, which really ain't that bad.
Yeah, I've got the pricing structure on the screen there now. So your standard edition with the discounts is £31.99, your deluxe is £42.39, your special is £71.99. If you look at like the standard edition for £29.99 with the discounts, and again, it sounds like I'm selling the game. That's not my job, guys. I'm just kind of giving you the facts. It's up to you to make your own decisions. But you've got free routes with that. That effectively works out about a tenner a route. You know, that's a lot cheaper than just DLC on its own. And you get the free routes for a tenner a route. Granted, you might not want all three of those. You might not have any interest in the American or Austrian content. But you're getting free routes, tenner each, plus all the additional features. So that's not too bad in my opinion. Gregory Allen, are they going to make dynamic weather a bit less extreme? I do remember something being said about that, because the dynamic weather is very dynamic. Sebastian Tobin, Train Sim World 3 runs at only 40 FPS on my RTX 3060. What Train Sim World 4 going to do? I don't know what the system specs are. I imagine they're quite similar to Train Sim World 3, because I think the core game engine hasn't changed. So I think it's probably going to be quite similar. Dem Baker, Train Sim World 3 definitely needs ironing out before abandoning it. Yeah, that's one of the other things. Is the amount of bugs in the existing game, and it almost sounds like, although it's not been confirmed, it almost sounds like, reading between the lines, that a lot of the existing bugs are no longer going to be fixed, and if you want them fixed, you're going to have to get Train Sim World 4, and I'm not a fan of that at all.
And I think also the Southeastern High speed update, I know we mentioned it before we went live, but that needs to be for Train Sim World 3 as well, with the 700 stop markers and all the different bits and bobs, because, well, the 700 is a Train Sim World 3 DLC, and Southeastern High Speed is a base Train Sim World 3 route. So I do feel that it shouldn't just release the Train Sim World 4, because then that sort of means if you've already got Southeastern High Speed and you've got the 700, and anticipating that update, which should have probably been there since day one of the 700, but you're going to have to pay, 40 quid just to get the update on Southeastern High Speed, which I think is wrong.
We were told, I believe, when the 700 come out, that the stop car markers would be coming soon. So yeah, I really do think that should be a core game upgrade, and that shouldn't be sort of hidden behind the paywall, definitely. This is my first live stream with Dedrail. Hello and welcome. 233 of you lovely people watching, which has got to be a record. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Daniela Evans, I never realised how good the graphic... That's my wife. No. I don't know where she is. What have we got going on? In space, why keep abandoning games and making new ones when you can stick on one game and pour more lifetime into it? I think it, I am kind of inclined to agree with you, In Space. It would be nice to get all the bugs ironed out before we move on, but they are a business, and that's kind of, what they've got to do. And I am absolutely not defending developers. Like I said earlier, my role as an ambassador, I'm not here to sell the game to you. I'm here to give you my opinions, give you the facts. All I will say is, if you're not happy with the game or not happy with the way it is, vote with your feet. Just don't buy it. Just boycott it. That's the best advice I can give you. Yeah, that's about all I can say really. But yeah, there we go. 156 Andrew, how are we doing? The Pie Train, when are you hooking Dovetail Games up with a GBRF66? That's the licensing team, the Pie Train. That's got absolutely nothing to do with me. I believe that is something they want to do, but that comes down to licensing. Lewis Hawkins, I'm only getting Train Sim World 4 for the Flying Scotsman and the Azuma. Be interesting to see with the Flying Scotsman how it handles. I'm not generally a fan of the Steam content, so it'd be interesting to see sort of how the game handles and how the train performs with that. What about you guys? Do you quite like driving the Steam engines, or are you sort of more on the modern front?
I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Peak Forest Steam trains. I know they're exactly the same as Spirit of Steam. I suppose Steam in general, I like it, but we need a new steamer, which I suppose the Flying Scotsman. But yeah, I definitely prefer my more modern stuff to steam trains. But it really depends what steam train, because some steam trains, imagine a little terrier in the game. That would be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it really depends what steam train it is.
I would definitely support that.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to control the steam train, the steam engine. You know, I will admit I'm not great with the steam engines, and I whack it into full reverse, so you know, up there and put it on full blast. I lose steam on it. But yeah, you do need a bit more control with the electric trains. With diesel, you literally just stick it in forward, and you've got the brakes there and everything. So yeah, it's a different kettle of fish. But at the same time, I think there's a lot more that they could do with the steam trains, and maybe have like different types of steam trains of like easy mode and expert mode kind of thing. If they could, I think that would be a good idea. So it would help the newbies. And then that's kind of what they've done with Training Centre. You know, Training Centre had the Class 66. Now, Class 66, you know all about, Richard, but for someone that's just started Training Sim World, the 66 is like, flipping it, what do I do? Cut in the brakes and release those brakes and add this and add that. But now they put the 323 in there because they wanted something simple that came with the game. And I see where they're coming from. They need to be able to give that to all sorts of different players, the newbies, the beginners, and also people that really want to get down in full safety mode and, you know, everything going.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that. I think the Azuma should be quite an easy one to drive. I am looking forward to getting my hands on that. We did get to have a little play of it when we went to Dovetail Games office, but it was a work in progress model, so there's a lot of things on there that weren't working as they should do. But the model looks very impressive. I must say, credit given where it's credit given where due for that one. I'm also very excited, and I know this is not part of the Train Sim World 4 release, but we can still talk about it. Ormskirk to Blackpool, and I know Stephen, you went up to Blackpool and done a little bit of filming up there. Worst kept secret since Train Sim World 4 itself. That's probably fair to say.
Yeah, well, you know, we saw the leak because it always happens, doesn't it? It's people look at the files and they start reading between the lines, and out comes this Blackpool North Preston, you know, written down, and that's kind of how we knew about some of the new routes here for Train Sim World 4. But yeah, it was good to see Blackpool. It's going to be totally different, kind of, because you know you've not got the catenary, you've not got overhead electric. It's all diesel powered, but from what we've seen so far, you know, the station looks very similar to what it does now. In that way, just when I visited, you know, it's a weird setup where they close the doors, so you queue up like a bus station, and then when the train comes in, you then go out. I experienced that because I ran out when a train left, and I stayed out at the end of the platform and got told off because they closed the doors, and then they came out going, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, sorry, yes, I'm just filming." "Well, can you come back in?" So yeah, but it's a nice little station, and if you kind of look at a little bit of the history of Blackpool North, it's actually part of the original station, just like the end part. So where the car park is and Sainsbury's, that's kind of where the original station started. But that's where the car park, you walk down and into the station there. But yeah, really nice route, and I'm looking forward to seeing Blackpool South opposite those roller coasters as well. Hopefully something's happening in there. That'd be nice to see.
Definitely want to see some
if
action
got some
on
movement
on the roller coasters and in the theme park. It'd be lovely. Matt,
yes.
I am not ignoring you in the chat. We have 258 people in the chat's going a bit mental, so if you post your comment again, I will try and get round to you. And Daniela Evans, hello. You're either my wife or my son, but hello, I'm not ignoring you either. We got Tintin57 in the chat as well, another fantastic train sim YouTuber. Go and subscribe to Tintin. I think we've heard about the suspension upgrades, which won't be coming with release for Train Sim World 4. We were fortunate enough to see a video of that, which obviously we can't share. That looks fantastic. The suspension improvements, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the pacer, and you wonder if they've done that because we've got the pacer coming.
I mean, yeah, the pacer bouncing around would be fantastic.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say with the suspension, I think it's very long overdue, because BVE was doing that 20 years ago. So I think, but having seen the preview video of it, I think that's going to make such a difference to the gameplay. the level of immersion you're going to get when you're in the cab with it bouncing around is going to completely transform the driving experience, in my opinion.
And I think it's also, it's not fully welded track, is it, on that route? So it literally will be, track joint sounds every couple of seconds, bounce, bounce, bounce. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster in itself, driving the Pacer.
And it's being made by, it's not Just Trains that are doing
Just
that
Trains.
one. It is Just Trains.
Yeah.
I'm about to overshoot Ev's fleet. I've gone into emergency by accident.
I sort of hope Preston Blackpool becomes sort of the Niddertal barn of the UK, because I feel that Just Trains are going to do a good job with it. So yeah, I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be the same quality as the Niddertal barn, where it's basically just perfect.
That Niddertal barn is a fantastic route, most definitely.
I like the amount of layers that Blackpool's going to be getting, but you just need to make sure that you read up on what layers. What DLCs you need for different layers. I had quite a few comments over the last week of going, if I've got the Class 101 on Northern Transpennine, can I use that in Blackpool? No. You can for scenario, but for timetable it has to be the Tees Valley line 101. So you just need to read up on that. Don't expect your DLCs to definitely layer in. It could be a different train, a different loco that's used for that. If you think, for example, the 66, how many different 66s have we got?
Many.
Many different 66s, yeah. But some work with some, and you've got to keep an eye on them.
Matt, Pacer is boring, just a bus. I can't disagree. I mean, it is, isn't it, by design? But yeah, definitely. We've had tea and biscuits for that stop, guys. It was a try, although we did go into emergency, then stop 10 feet short, so not a bad stop all in all. So that's one of the other things with Train Sim World 4. The scoring system has been overhauled. I'm not massively fussed by that myself. It depends on how you play the game, I guess, but I'm not massively fussed by the scoring system. But so you're going to get additional points for running with safety systems on, having the headlights set, which I have done today, brilliant. And it's going to be sort of more based on how you drive between stations. So I'm hoping not using the emergency brakes and sort of decent braking curves and stuff like that's going to come into that, which would be quite nice with the updated scoring system.
Yeah, I don't think it's Train Simulator Classic when you're speeding and your points just plummet, but you will be getting negative points here and there depending on what you're doing, which I think is quite a good idea. It won't go anything below 0 though, I don't think. But yeah, it'd be good to see exactly how much we're going to get out of it. And those competitions that are happening over social media or different Discord channels, I think that's going to be even more of a challenge for some, because everyone wants to get this platinum medal, so it's going to be even harder to get those points.
Sounds like a points challenge collaboration stream coming on.
Yeah, possibly. But we're not going to do Joe's way by sitting in the back seat and doing it. No.
Good fun.
Well, last time I done a collaboration with Joe on a points challenge, he pre-recorded his.
Yes.
Yeah, how many times did he record it?
Quite a few.
Just once, I promise.
Guys, I'm aware YouTube has just gone into low frame mode, unfortunately. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. I'm hoping it's going to return nicely in a minute. Everything's still smooth at my end, but it says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Hopefully that'll clear itself in a minute. I'm hoping that's not an internet connection error on my end, but fingers crossed that's going to sort itself out.
It's looking okay my end at the moment.
Fingers crossed then. Fingers crossed it'll resolve itself in a few seconds. Sound okay on YouTube, says P888. Excellent. Kevin Graham, I so want Merseyrail route made with a 50750. Merseyrail would be quite a good one, I reckon. I wouldn't say no to Merseyrail. Are there any routes that you guys would like to see in game particularly?
Ooh. Well, East Coast Mainline South is probably the big one. Maybe with the line along to Cambridge as well, but I doubt we'd see that. Yeah, I suppose either the East Coast Mainline South or the West Coast Way. I know a lot of people are sort of fed up with Brighton and Third Rail, but it would be good. And well, one other thing, maybe a 90s network southeast route anywhere in Sussex would be nice. Maybe even a backdated Brighton mainline set in the 90s with Toothpaste, the 73. That would be nice. So yeah, I suppose one of those three: East Coast Mainline South, West Coast Way, or some sort of 90s network southeast route.
Yeah, the old Toothpaste livery or something like that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would go for slam doors. I always say London Waterloo to Reading because that was my old route. Bracknell, Martinsare, and all of that. I think that's quite a good one. That could be Network Southeast, or it could even be the start of Southwest trains. You know, with the slam doors, maybe the 455s, maybe even the Siemens, the triple fours. Or is it? Yeah, I think it's the 444. I get mixed up with what they were. But yeah, that would be a good one. Or an extension to Midland Main Line. You know, give us Sheffield to Leicester, so extend it from Derby up and Nottingham up, so we go through Towton, Ilkeston, you know, all of them as well. That would be a good extension as well.
Yeah, AJ's Gaming says Ashford International to Eastbourne. That would definitely be my one, with the 170s, or even take it back and have the thumpers on it. That would probably, I would probably prefer that actually over the 171s. Definitely. I mean, it's my local route, so I'm a little bit biased with that one. Me was commenting earlier. I am trying to keep up with the chat, guys. Me said we need more variety in the NPCs, in the people in Train Sim World, and that is one of the things that is coming with the new diorama system, which I am quite looking forward to.
Yeah, it's nice to see it coming back. I mean, because it was in the game before. It was with the Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour routes, but then I suppose it didn't really continue. But yeah, that looks fantastic, and I think it really is going to add more life to the stations and make it feel much more immersive. You know, people having their drinks, cup of teas at the cafes, phones, luggage. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good thing from Dovetail, bringing that back, improving it, and well, bringing it out of Train Sim World 4. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
So as we're talking about luggage and stations and the dioramas, it is really good, and like you say, you're going to get the variety. You're going to get people with luggage, people on phones holding coffee. As part of the dioramas, there's going to be like shops and buffets, isn't there, with people queuing up at different times of day. And I've been told if we have a look in and look at the menus, there's some interesting items on the menus on the station, so that's a good one to check out. But what I wanted to pick up on stations, and something that hasn't been announced yet, which for me is a little bit of a disappointment. They may announce it again, guys. I only know what you know at this point. Is announcements on stations, station announcements on train announcements. That for me, in terms of immersion at the moment, is a gap that I think needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we know that Rivet Games did that for ScotRail, Edinburgh to Glasgow. I think, you know, they probably are working on something behind the scenes, but they've got to get it right. You know, we've got some mods, haven't we, of Bakerloo line, you know, that it's not amazing, you know, it's not going to say the next station is blah, 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 but I think that was quite good what they did with that mod-wise, so hopefully we'll see something similar, but it needs to be a decent enough train to have that. Not, you know, I'm not saying Thames Link 700, because I think they get annoying sometimes with all the announcements, but something that's a bit different and might be quite nice. But yeah, but also, yeah, as you said, announcements at the platform as well, and also getting it right. You know, listening to, say, Bakerloo line saying, oh, you know, the car park and things like this, you're going, well, yeah, we're in the underground, where's the car park? So getting that accurate as well would be good.
Yeah. Joshua Lang says, I like to see passengers speaking on Train Sim World 4, and PIS, yeah, agreed, Dedra. I think one of the things I've commented on before, which I think was much improved on Glossop, is the general soundscape of the outside world. I think sometimes it just seems a little bit empty. It'd be nice if when we went into the trains there was a little bit of chatter, phones going off, sort of distorted music from headphones, just to kind of bring that real world immersion into the game. And I think that's one area at the moment. Like I say, we could have more announcements to come, but that's a little bit lacking in my opinion at the moment. Formula 47, I'm a bit disappointed with the new routes. What I'll say to that Formula 47 is I think it doesn't matter what route you do, someone's always going to be disappointed. There's a lot of very angry German people this time round because we don't have a new German route, we have an Austrian route. So I think regardless of what you're going to do, everyone's going to be saying, why haven't you done this, why haven't you done that? So all we can do is hope that sort of we're going to get more routes as we go along. And there are a couple of DLC, so obviously we know about the Blackpool North and South Ormskirk DLC, but I believe on the roadmap there were 2 more releases coming within the next 6 months, so it'd be interesting to find out what they are. I don't find Train Sim 2 Rush Hour has that Rush Hour feeling. Yeah, but I believe the reason for that is that NPC and characters take up a lot of memory, so I think there's a balancing act. If you put too much into the game, ultimately, you know, people moan about it lagging already. Maybe that's an optimization issue. I'm not a software engineer, I don't know. But the more you put in, the more you're going to increase that whole kind of lagging problem. So I think that's probably why it's not as busy as we would like. King ET makes a good point about the announcements. I want them to be licensed for realism. Yeah, I think, you know, Dovetail have got licenses for... They've managed to get licenses for certain trains, so it is possible that they'd get the genuine announcements. I mean, SCR have managed to get a few license announcements and bits and bobs, so fingers crossed for that. Mike, I'd like more freight depots and different freight load options. So 100 coming into Stratford. Let's see if we can get this stop a bit better. And as we're coming into Stratford, and a few people have asked, we are going to play our first round of Locomotive Location Livery.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
So if you don't know how this works, guys, you'll soon get the hang of it. Post your numbers in the chat now between 1 and 25, and I will pick the third number that comes up on my screen, then explain how the game works. Today's picture has been sent in by MegaSim himself. So no guessing, because you know what it is.
That's a good one. I wonder what it is.
I'm just waiting for it to show up, see if I know it.
I get so thrown off by the... my stop is atrocious there. I get so thrown off by the kilometres an hour, miles per hour conversion on the high speeds, and I end up... I do it when I play German routes. I just can't get the speed regulated correctly. It's terrible. Right, what have we got? Third number on my screen, I'm going to have to scroll up in my chat, was NG with number 8. So let's press the button.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
So what happens, guys, is I'm going to give you box number 8. You've got 10 seconds to try and give me the locomotive livery and location. If you are watching on TikTok, you can't see this, I'm afraid. This is YouTube only. Let's press the button. Bit of a station and some wires there. Let me know in the chat where that could be, or what that could be. Talking of wires, one of the upgrades is the OLE, the overhead line equipment upgrades to stop the flickering, but they've got some clever rendering techniques on. And yes, that for me, that is good. That is very good.
I feel like I've seen this picture before, Mega. I feel like you might have sent it or something. I'm not going to guess, but I feel like I might have seen it before. Possibly.
Idiotic Lasagna says it's Exeter Davis. Mr. Quicker Gaming says Preston. DT Trains has gone Hanwell. Ashton J. Ryder Reading. Drew has gone Oakham. Pete 888 says somewhere in Sussex.
Some good guesses there. You know, I travel the country, you know, with my job, as you know, with my Train Real World channel as well. So whenever I'm out and about, and I'm mainly on the trains, I only have one vehicle at home, so Mrs. MegaSim dumps me at Derby Station and I travel the country, so it could be anywhere.
Absolutely. Gregory Allen, I hate it when companies prioritise profits over customer service. Train Sim World 3 needs to be perfect before moving on. All their loyal customers have had a lot of unnecessary downloading to do. I don't entirely disagree with you, Gregory, to be perfectly honest. There are a lot of bugs in this game that need fixing, and it does feel like we're leaving it behind to move on, and if you want the fixed version, you've got to upgrade, and I don't like that. To me, that does feel wrong. Looking at my screen right now, I don't know if it comes across on the stream, but I've got lots of flickery blue lights ahead of me in the tunnel shroud, so yeah, I'd agree with you there, Gregory. Formula 47 says, MegaSim, I love Train Real World. So yeah, go and subscribe to Train Real World, guys. Check out MegaSim's channel as well, and Joe's, of course. Got some great content over there. Idiotic Lasagna, Dadrail, will you buy Train Sim World 4? So, Idiotic Lasagna, I will be completely honest with you, I will get it for free from Train Sim World. Part of being an ambassador is that we get the content free, so we're able to preview it and show it out to you. Yeah, so no, full disclosure. Would I buy it if I wasn't getting it for free? I probably would, but I do have the same concerns as you guys about, you know, is it going to come full of bugs? Is it going to be broken? Is it ever going to get fixed? These are lots of things that I know the community are really, really concerned about. There's a lot of things, a lot of projects that come out with Dovetail that just seem to lack that final layer of polish. Everything just seems a little bit rushed sometimes. I think that's fair to say. So it would be nice to kind of get something. I mean, there is a saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, but I don't think we've, you know, there are some situations where we haven't even got good. There are clearly certain elements of the game that are just blatantly broken. So yeah, but no, each to their own. You know, some people are gonna buy it release. Some people are gonna wait for it to come out on sale. I know there's a lot of people disappointed it's no longer going to be on Game Pass. I would say wait 6 months and it probably will be on Game Pass.
I think with the
Sorry, Formula 47 says I'm braking too much. The 130 is still flashing, which means the speed's going to come down again. That's why I've put a little bit more brake in Formula 47.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, I know we're talking about the changes and, you know, the bugs and things like that, but the big thing that I get is when you choose different routes, because they're from different time periods of, you know, 2018 was when I first got Great Western Express on Founders Edition. You know, you're going to go through different routes, and some are going to be newer than others. So you're going to be really used to, I don't know, Brighton Mainline, and then you stick yourself on East Coastway and go, flipping heck, what's changed? You know, but it's a level that was made a few years ago, and it's not always going to have those updates of the volumetric skies and all those changes. And that's kind of what we need to remind ourselves. You know, they even mentioned in the roadmap of Train Sim World 2 content not being updated, you know, which I don't know if it's something you will talk about, but you know, it gets to a point where there's like 90 odd different files, you know, DLCs that have got to be updated to Train Sim World 4. It's a long thing to do, and it's going to take years. So I think, yeah, we're always going to have that, you know, East Coast Mainline looks amazing, but stick ourselves on Bakerloo line and we're going, whoa, it looks old. Because it's a dated, you know, piece of software. You know, the route hasn't been updated to what we're getting next month.
I think I can very much accept things being dated and things being old. It's kind of the bugginess that gets to me. There are a lot of things where, you know, there are lighting issues and bits and bobs happening, and I just think, you know, it's all very well moving on to bigger and better things, but we kind of got to get the content we've already got right first. That's just my take on it. I don't think the game's unplayable. I don't think it's bugged to the extent where it becomes unplayable, or mostly it's not. I know there are a couple of scenarios that you can't finish. But yeah, there are just a few little niggly bits here and there, and it'd just be nice to see those fixed. LW Rail, how are we doing? Platform 2, 25 miles an hour, even though my speedo's in kilometres an hour.
Thing is, Richard, what route are you most looking forward to? Apart from the East Coast Mainline, of course. Yeah, out of Vorarlberg, Antelope, or Riesa Dresden upgrade. I know you've already mentioned Riesa Dresden's probably your favourite German route. But what are you most looking forward to apart from the East Coast Mainline?
So we haven't actually spoken about Vorarlberg or the Metrolink in the stream. With Vorarlberg, I am quite a fan of German and Austrian stuff in general. I've been over there a few times. Check out my train driver on tour videos, always plug. So I think Vorarlberg, but the Metrolink line looks absolutely stunning as well. They've said about the way they're doing the hills is now different, the way with the landscaping, and that really shows on the screenshots that we've seen. But I think Vorarlberg's probably will be one of the first routes. Well, as soon as I've had a little play on the L and the R, then Vorarlberg will be the next one I load up for sure. How about you, Joe?
For me, apart from the East Coast Mainline, probably. I mean, it's tough because as you said, the US route does look really good with the F125 and the really modern looking bits and bobs. But I think it probably would be Vorarlberg, which I feel would probably be quite a nice timed journey, because I think the US route is 77 miles. I think it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get from one side to the other, which I feel is going to be like, you're going to be really tired by the end of those 2 hours. So I think for me, probably you said Vorarlberg, which I think is going to be a bit more of a varied journey. You've got a couple of branch lines, I think. It's Germany and Austria. The mountains look fantastic. And probably able to get some good screenshots on there using photo mode. Yeah,
photo mode is something... It's one of those features that seems really, really basic. And see, I think that's one of those things that possibly should have been in the game already. It seems like it's not a... again, I completely get it. They're a business, they've got to make money. But for me, photo mode isn't necessarily an upgrade that I would pay for. As part of the package of upgrades, I think it's worth it. But it's kind of... I think it's going to be beneficial, but it's kind of not game-changing, if you know what I mean. Not in the sort of same way that Scenario Editor is. Scenario Editor is absolutely game-changing. And I think... I watched the keynote, and there was a lot of negativity within the keynote. And when they announced Scenario Editor, the chat absolutely went mad. And it was like everything they'd done up to that point was completely irrelevant because they were releasing Scenario Editor. What should we do? Return to timetable.
Are you talking about the PC editor, or are you talking about Scenario Planner 2.0?
No, my apologies. PC editor. No, definitely PC editor. There was a lot of very, very upset people that you can't do that on console. But I think ultimately, console games are not made on consoles; they're made on computers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, will you guys use the Scenario Planner? I call it the PC editor. Sorry. Will you guys get much use out of that at all?
Probably not. I mean, I'm absolutely useless on PC when it comes to just doing anything. So I think as a primary console player, no, I won't be. I'll let the professionals do the editor stuff. So now I won't be touched on it.
It's certainly be very, very interesting to see what people come out with that.
Yeah.
And I think Matt said in the latest roadmap, it's a very difficult tool, and it is beta. But the sooner they get the editor out there, the sooner people can start playing with it, and then sort of they can decide what direction they want to take it. So I don't think it's going to be as simple as the Train Sim Classic editor, where you can just plop things in. I think it is going to be quite a difficult tool. But we'll just have to see how that goes, and I'm really excited to see what people do with it. Definitely.
But what I really... Oh, go on.
Yeah, what I think people will start with first is create timetable service plans. I think that's going to be good, trying to create them a bit more accurately. If you want Brighton Mainline, hopefully somebody's going to create one that's going to have the 387, 377, and also the 700, and create a full timetable. That I'm looking forward to seeing, because for me and Joe, Scenario Planner 2.0 is probably going to be perfect for us. Being able to create scenarios where we go from A to B to C to D to E, going from a depot to Reading to then go to Slough, then back to Reading, then to London, that sort of thing. That's probably what we're going to be doing. But for someone on the PC to create a full-blown timetable, I really would download that and have a go of it. That would be really nice to see. I wouldn't create it, but I would check it out.
Yeah, I agree with you with the scenario. So the Scenario Planner, guys, just to clarify, everyone can do that. It's separate to the PC editor. So it's the same as the Scenario Planner we've got now, but with some tweaks to it. So you can set the time of day, you can set the weather, and as Stephen's just said there, you can chain routes together. And for me, that is an absolutely massive thing. If you get on something like the Brighton Mainline or Southeastern High Speed, you can almost make like a complete driver's diagram. So you can go, I want to go Ashford, St Pancras, down to Faversham, pretend I'm on my break, Faversham, back to St Pancras, back to Ashford, back to St Pancras. You can kind of create that whole kind of 8-hour driver's shift, if you like, which would be, I really like that idea of being able to do that.
Is that something you would potentially create, Richard? With your historic driving, having a good idea of what your previous diagrams would be. You know, create something
Yeah,
a bit more realistic.
I think so, definitely. It's something I've not really played around with the scenario planner, short of swapping trains out. But it's definitely something I'll be quite interested to have a look at, sort of see how easy it is to do. What would be really, really nice, and again, it might be possible, but I doubt it, is if we could combine routes with that. So say I could do a service from Eastbourne to Brighton, and then the next bit of the service would be from Brighton to London, all within, I know you'd have to have a loading screen in there somewhere, but to have all of that sort of inside one scenario would be absolutely amazing. I don't think that's possible at the moment, but you know, that's kind of the next logical step in my opinion, is to kind of just be able to link routes together.
I'm quickly just touching back on the PC editor. Something which I also found quite exciting is Dovetail would consider making routes official. So say, I don't know, someone like Rob from the Train Sim community server, if he made a route from, I don't know, A to B, and it was really, really good, Dovetail then might consider sort of looking into it, making it a third-party route, or maybe getting Rob as a second-party dev. So it's quite exciting, sort of opening the door to a whole load of new creators and third-party developers.
I think ultimately, if we look at the amount of third-party developers that develop for Train Sim Classic, both, you know, commercially and in their spare time, I think this editor's going to kind of bring Train Sim World up to that sort of standard. Train Sim Classic didn't get there overnight. We've had that, I mean, I want to say that's been around for, coming up probably 18, 20 years that game's been released. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's got to be about that long, surely. You know, and it's taken a long time to get to where it is, and I'm just hoping, sort of, with the opening up of the PC editor, that Train Sim World 3, or Train Sim World 4 as it will be, will sort of gain that popularity with the third-party developers, and we'll see some amazing things coming out.
Yeah.
I think when you look at things like Bahn, for example, created by Train Sim Germany, the care and love that's gone into that route, it is a phenomenal route. And to see that sort of quality of routes coming to UK stuff would just be incredible.
Well, that's what I sort of hope the Just Trains Preston Blackpool will be. I'm sort of hoping that will be the Niddertail barn of UK stuff. Obviously, the passion, because I think someone mentioned in chat that one of the developers, as part of Just Trains, actually does live in Blackpool, so that sort of area. So perhaps, that sort of same passion will go into the route and make it as good as Niddertail.
And I think we've seen, like with the Midland Mainline's enhancement pack, you know, when even without a public editor, when third parties get their hands on things, it's amazing what can be done. Unfortunately, as it stands at the moment, I think that's PC only, that enhancement pack. But it's interesting.
But that's the thing. Even though it is an enhancement pack for PC only, this PC editor is PC only, but potentially in the future it could go to console somehow. Either the official route, maybe, or Creators Club could be expanded, hopefully. But then that might mean that certain mods, like we've had with Midland Mainline, may hopefully get to console as well.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that the community has requested, I don't know if there's been any official word on this. You guys are a lot more active in the kind of forums and stuff than I am. One of the things that's been mentioned, and I'm surprised no one's brought it up in the stream yet, is no multiplayer. Now, for me, I've genuinely got no interest in multiplayer in the game. What do you guys kind of think about that?
Do you want to go first, Mega? You go first, Mega.
Yeah, multiplayer. So, you know, I've dabbled in a bit of multiplayer on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's quite fun taking off together, flying, you know, doing that sort of thing. But I don't know, you'd have to be careful with Train Sim World because you've got signals. I know we had a little chat about it last week, just us, you know, a few of us, where, you know, you could do a different server or something like that. But it ends up being, you know, you're stuck at a red light and you're going to get some idiot that's in the station in front and won't move. And then that's it, game over. Or will they go down a Microsoft Flight Simulator route where you can just drive through people? So the signals don't matter at all. There's somebody there that you pass through, but that's it. So I don't know. It's a weird one for me. I'm not sure if it's not really Farming Simulator. You know, Farming Simulator multiplayer is amazing, you know, where you all get on with the job of looking after the farm. But I don't know what would multiplayer Train Sim World give to you. That's my thoughts.
So we did have in Glossop the guarding scenario, and I was sort of thinking that's something that might come in a future Train Sim World. That might be a kind of a standard mode, a guarding mode, and that could work quite well in multiplayer, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'd sort of like to see for multiplayer. Maybe, I know, it's like a co-op. Yeah, co-op. So maybe, one or, two people or so. As you said, one person driving, one person guarding, and you just sort of stay on the same train together at one time. I think that would probably be the best way it would work. But then I suppose you've got to look at SimRail. On SimRail, the multiplayer works quite well. You've got signalling on there. You've got driving on there. And I think most people on there are quite serious. Obviously, it might be a slightly different audience for Train Sim World. But yeah, obviously, so look at SimRail. SimRail, it's pretty well done on there.
So full disclosure, I did ask Matt Peddleston about multiplayer, and he gave me an answer. But I have asked whether I can pass that answer on, and I've not had a reply, so I'm not saying any more about it. That could be, he could have told me yes, he could have told me no. I'm not saying either way, but I do know a little bit of information about it. But until Dovetail specifically tell me that I can pass that information on, I'm not going to, because I get into all sorts of legal trouble. So Lilo, maybe passenger mode. You do have passenger mode already, because you can spawn on foot in timetable mode and get on any AI train you want, so that is something we do already have in the game.
I think what he's saying is passenger mode for multiplayer, but that would be a little boring, just sitting there and while somebody else is driving for the next 3 hours.
It depends. I suppose people play the game in different ways. I mean, for me, the whole game is about the driving experience in the immersion. I mean, you'll notice in the stream I haven't really used the outside camera at all. I kind of like to stay in the cab and focus on the driving, the kind of immersion side of it. But I know different people like to play the game in different ways. I'm not a great fan of shunting because I always end up derailing. However, Train Sim World 4, automatic switching. So, we shall see. But yeah, I can see what you're saying about the sitting on the train for hours, and I could get, slightly boring maybe.
But then talking about sitting in the cab, what are your thoughts on the new HUD?
I haven't had too much of a chance to have a look at the new HUD, if I'm being honest, but I like the idea that we can have a mini HUD and we can sort of turn on and off elements of it. So I'm quite interested to have a little play of it and see what we can do with it. If I turn off the HUD now, the route we're playing, Southeastern High Speed Dartford down to Rainham, I signed this route in real life. I can drive this route HUDless. I can happily turn the HUD off, drive the route, no issues at all. But for me, playing on a PC, I don't know what power notch I'm in, and that's where I start getting problems. So I'd like a little HUD where I can just see the power percentage or something like that. That for me, that would be ideal. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what options we've got with the new HUD.
What do you think about it, Joe?
I quite like it. I mean, it sort of brings an aspect of Train Sim Classic, sort of having that, I call it the distance graph. It brings an aspect of Train Sim Classic into TSW, and I know a lot of people really do like Train Sim Classic, the HUD on there, and a lot of people I've mentioned wanting to see that HUD on Train Sim World. So I quite like the way they sort of scaled it down, modernised it, and put it into Train Sim World. And something I saw Pete mention earlier in chat is that on PlayStation, I suppose it's sort of to do with the HUD, but the light bar is going to the light bar is going to tell you what the next signal ahead will be, which I think is quite cool. I mean, personally, I want an option to be able to turn it off, but yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the light button on the PlayStation 5 controller, because we all know that the Xbox Series X is a beast of a machine, but the controller hasn't really changed apart from giving us a share button. That's the only difference that we've had. So having that additional haptics, especially with the PlayStation, there's so many different bits inside that controller that they can utilize. So hopefully they're going to expand on that and use that to their advantage for the different trains. I really hope.
I think the whole idea with the new haptics and the feedback it's really basic. But for me, when we're talking about the HUD and we're talking about the haptics, these are the things that could be core game updates rather than paid for updates. I think these should be just part of your standard upgrade package. And I think if they had done some standard upgrades to Train Sim World 3 and then had Train Sim World 4, I think that debate's always going to be open, isn't it? I think. The controller vibrations will be realistic in the Pacer. Excellent.
So what we're saying is it's going to be non-stop.
Your controller battery is going to die very quickly. Wheels Media, what will the train toilet be modelled? When will the train toilet be modelled? We had janitors' closets in Edinburgh, Glasgow. We need train toilets. # train toilets.
I think I'd rather not see a train toilet, some of the state they're in.
Oh no, they'd be nice and clean.
I think the first question when we heard that Train Sim World 4 was coming out, well, first of all it was Train Sim World 5 when, and the next one was, are we getting toilets in this one?
Yeah, when we went up to Dovetail, we kind of we sat down in front of a big TV and they'd done a little presentation, and at the end of it, it was like Train Sim World 4, and then like the first, literally as you say, the first question was, when's Train Sim World 5 coming out? So, but in Dovetail's defence, they were quite honest and open with us about stuff, and they were quite happy to answer our questions. Yeah, they've answered quite a few questions that I had, and I've asked them if I can make that information public, but I haven't had a reply yet. But I think if I can make some of the information public, it will please a few people. Realistic flushing sound, says Formula 47.
I think going back to what you just mentioned there, Train Sim World 4, Train Sim World 5, etc. I think they also mentioned that a new game, from a business point of view, a new game sells better, which obviously is good because that means they get more money, which means they can do more things. So yeah, I think they said that a new game sells better than just, say, I know, Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour, which was just an update. So yeah, from a business point of view, a new game probably is the better, more attractive option.
Yeah, I was quite surprised speaking to Matt about how many kind of legal obstacles there are and how many sort of things there are with working with Steam, working with Epic, working with all these different publishers, how difficult things can actually be. It's like, oh, well, you can do this. This will be really simple. Oh, someone can make a route on the PC editor, and it's really good, and they can package it, and then it can just be shipped out to console. No. Because the consoles want to quality control check absolutely everything. So you can only do that if you're an approved publisher. So it's like, oh, well, something that seems like it should be so simple becomes very complicated. Oh, we can just upload content to Steam and do this and do that. No. Part of the Unreal license is that if you created stuff, it's got to go through licensing processes. And so stuff that you think is actually quite easy suddenly becomes quite complicated. And you start to realise, oh, there is reasons you do things this way.
Well, even just thinking of the beta side of things, not going too much into it, but even if you're on the beta for console, for Xbox, as I said, there's 90 odd different DLCs that have to be baked for each platform. For Steam, for Epic, for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X. And that's 90 odd DLCs for each one of those platforms. It takes a flipping long time. But I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier, but, even just thinking, if Train Sim World 4 didn't come out and this was, just an update, a free update, we're still going to have to pay for 3 routes, or even 1 route. That itself is going to be 30 quid. So I think having this new release every year possibly, would be good for Dovetail, to kind of give us more features, give them more scope to expanding the game more. Especially with the recent purchase as well. I know they're probably not going to do much with Dovetail because it's working well, but I think they'll probably help in other ways to increase the players on console and other ways as well.
Yeah, sorry, concentrating on my driving there. Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right about giving them more scope. And yeah, I did say earlier on in the chat, you know, you're getting, so if you've got the full discounts because you're an existing player, £29.99 for free routes, it's £10 a route. Most DLC costs more than that, and you're getting all the additional features. So I think if it's sold like that, and you kind of look at it like that, then it sort of becomes a little bit more palatable. But I can completely get people's anger that it's not been long since we've had Train Sim World 3. Train Sim World 3's got a lot of bugs in it, and we're moving on to the next thing, and leaving those people behind. So I really can get people's frustration with that 100%. I am going to play as we're coming into Gravesend, because we are going to wrap this stream up actually when we get to Raynham, because I've promised Mumra a Chinese tonight, and the Chinese will be closed if we go on too long. So I'm going to press the Locomotive Location livery button.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Nick K, a new game will sell because we have no choice if they abandon Train Sim World 3. So it's not a complete abandonment of Train Sim World 3. Train Sim World 3 will still work. It's just you won't be able to get any new content for it. And that was what I was saying. One of the things I disagree with is like the upgrades to the Southeastern High Speed. You're not going to get those on Train Sim World 3. And I disagree with that. I think, you know, updates to routes and bug fixes should still be a thing. Unlocking the doors at Gravesend. Right, who have we got? Wookie390. You are the third number on my screen with number 15.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Gonna give you box number 15, guys. 10 seconds for that Locomotive Livery and location. Oh, we've got more knitting. That rules out Sussex. Almost rules out Sussex. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. So guys, let's have like a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, we'll see if we can try and answer them. So we've got probably about 20 minutes or so left of this stream, maybe a little bit longer. So if you've got any questions, post them in the chat now, and we'll see if we can't answer them. Like I say, we know about as much as you do at this point, but you know, maybe we know something you don't. So if you do have any questions, post them in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. I am keeping an eye on the TikTok chat here as well. We have 3 people watching on TikTok. Hey! Finn Salter, I played the guard scenario lots on Glossip. I wish it could have been in Train Sim World 4 as a permanent feature. Dadra, carry on.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, you know, guard mode was pretty good in Glossop. It was a good start. But we also had a chat, you know, just with a few of us, and I think Dovetail as well, you know, that the 158 is pretty good with a kind of guard mode where, you know, you close the doors and then it closes specific doors, then the door where the guard is going to be, then the buzzer goes. It's great, except when you're late. You know, when it's like, yeah, like at the moment, you know, you go, oh yeah, 10:19, close the doors, but you don't actually get to go until like 30 seconds later, so you're always going to be late. So it's good to have those things, but at the same time, it can be a little annoying if you're catching up on points and things like that as well.
Definitely, it does take a long time. A couple of questions that have come up. Drew Peebles, when are more Drivers Rules videos coming? Watch this space, Drew. I want to do them, it's just time. The Pie Train, AP801 sounds. So the Pie Train. Dovetail have been working with LNER and Hitachi. They went to the LNER depot, I can't remember where, and got an 801 for the day and drove it up and down and put microphones all over it and recorded all their own sounds. And anything they couldn't get has been sourced by AP. So the sounds on that should be super, super realistic. Are there any visual graphic changes in Train Sim World 4, says that boy LS. We've got volumetric fog has been added, which looks absolutely beautiful. There's been some changes to the overhead line equipment, so you get rid of all that sort of flickering effect. And there's been some changes to the way the terrain's modelled, which looks absolutely lovely. And of course we've got sort of new characters on the station. We're going to have ones with phones, with coffee, suitcases, stuff like that. So yeah, there's been a few changes, definitely. I think I've covered it all there, guys, haven't I? Graphical changes?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there was anything else specifically graphically. Yeah, I'm
No,
not sure.
I think it's more of the lidar is being used a lot more, especially with the mountainous regions for the Austria-Germany route. They look pretty epic.
Mm.
That looks pretty good, and also with the sounds, I think AP hopefully will definitely be involved more with future locos and future trains, because they've got the real recordings. They went out. They've been on that Vectron. They've been on the Metrolink in America. They've been on the LNER Azuma. So they've got their own recordings, but it's, as you said, it's those little bits that are missing. And then at the end of the day, those recordings, you can't just push it straight into the game and think it's going to work. They've got to mix it. So you've got the different power modes, the braking, the different speeds. They've got to make sure that sounds really, sounds good enough for us. So I am really looking forward to seeing what the 801 sounds are like, because I will admit, when we did have a little go last week, it was using 395 sounds. So yeah, it was like we were testing it out, because I got a video of the Azuma's horn. We were like, right, let's listen to this. Okay, right, let's listen to it on the get. Nope, that doesn't sound right, because they were using sounds from a different one. Now, I know that that's been changed now, but the version we were on were, they weren't the final sounds.
Yeah, definitely. Someone pointed out, I think it was Artful as well, that the rain effects have been updated on the windscreen. They look really nice. I did have a little play with that. Yeah, Artful, better rain dynamics. Did look really, really good. Dominic, do you ever think East Coast Mainline South will ever be added? Your guess is as good as mine. I would like to see it, Dominic, but genuinely at this point, I don't know. I don't think anything's being planned at the moment for that.
I've just seen it in the chat, but someone's mentioned GSMR. Well, I wonder if we will get a slightly more functional GSMR for the Azuma. I mean, fingers crossed we do, but yeah, I wonder if we will get more functional GSMR.
I'm really pleased that we've got basic functionality on the GSMR.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the TMS screen and stuff like that. Any little toys in the cab, I am definitely in favour of having in there.
And I think the 801 also has cruise control, doesn't it? I wonder if we'll see that included as well.
I don't know if it does, but if it does, I should imagine we'll have it, because we've certainly got it on the German train, so the scripting is definitely there for it. David McGollin, will we have to put Pacer 142 on a scenario planner or free roam for Tees Valley line, as it sounds like it won't layer, despite the 101 layering on Blackpool? I think the problem will be that they're not updating the Tees Valley to put the layer on there. But yeah, if you're in free roam or scenario planner, you'll definitely be able to put it on there. But with the PC editor, someone might create a timetable and put it on there. That's perfectly doable with the PC editor. Richard Wilson, genuinely curious what functionality people want on the GSMR. So for me, Richard, I would like the ability to register it manually. So I've got a couple of videos on my channel regarding GSMR, how it works from a train driver's perspective. I would like the ability to stop at high. I'm in the right place. There we go. That wasn't too bad. I'd like the ability. So on here we've got very, very basic functionality at the moment. So when I press the register button, it kind of puts all the details in and registers. But that 9 Papa 15998, I would like to be able to see what service I'm driving, 9 Papa 15. I'd like to be able to input that information myself and press tick. Quite similar to the AP enhancement packs on Train Sim Classic. So I'd like that sort of level of functionality would be nice, rather than just sort of having the button. I believe as well, when you load up the cab, this turns itself on. So even just having to turn it on and press the button manually would be nice. Just having something that's not quite so automatic. But with what we've got, it's certainly better than nothing. But I think it can be built upon, definitely. Dominic, did you see gameplay of the Flying Scotsman? I didn't. Did you two guys see gameplay of the Flying Scotsman at all?
Yes, I had a little drive of it, and it was still using Jubilee sounds. But the model itself is absolutely fantastic. And apparently Dovetail have been working on it for over 2 years. I think it's been a bit of a passion project, which they've sort of kept, doing, then sort of stopped doing. It sort of kept coming back to. It was very, very. I mean, above. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like the 8F or Jubilee inside, where it looks quite sort of basic. It is very, very detailed. That's that's the best way to say it. It's very, very detailed.
And I believe Sorry, carry on.
No, go, Richard.
I was going to say, I believe they've modelled it as it is at the moment, so it will have AWS, TPWS, so it's going to work really well for rail tours on other routes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's been modelled to the latest version because, that Flying Scotsman, I don't think there's anything original in it anymore. It's like Trigger's broom from Ain't Fools and Horses. But yeah, I went on it and I think it was like October 6:30 full volumetric fog, and oh my goodness, it looked
floating
amazing.
Foliage. Sorry.
Yeah, it was pretty decent to see that, and I used photo mode on that as well. I saw an Azuma coming in, and took a great shot, which I wish I could share, but I literally just took a photo of the monitor, so it's not amazing, but yeah, just looking at that was really good to see. With the lights and coming through the fog as well. So yeah, as Joe said, yeah, they were 8F sounds, but that's because we were on a very early version. We weren't on the PC version. We were on PlayStation and Xbox versions, which are a little further back. They're now coming up to date these next few weeks. But when we saw it there wasn't beta mode, for Xbox users. So it was quite an early version of it.
That boy LS says, will there be announcements on the Class 800? Nothing confirmed at this point is all I can say to that. I hope so, but nothing's been confirmed. Callum,
that's the thing. They could be putting some certain features close to their chest. We don't know. There could be something because we ask questions and we get certain answers, but even just like the passenger information screens weren't working, so we have no idea what the Azuma's going to give us. We know exactly the same as what you guys do.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. It could happen. I'd like to see it. So I think it's just to watch this space. I think Dovetail are well aware that the community want it. So, yeah, definitely. Callum was saying he wants train spotters. Sorry, assuming your gender there, Callum. Train spotters on the platform, which is something that I spoke to Matt about with the new diorama system. Hopefully being able to have, when you're doing a rail tour or when there's a rail tour about to come through, being able to have train spotters on the platform would be really, really nice. I'd like to see P-way stuff on the platform and stuff like that, so when you blow your horn they put their hand up and you get a reaction. Kind of just that whole kind of more dynamic driving environment, which just keeps it more interesting in my opinion. Is Train Sim World 4 Standard Edition worth its price for free trains? That is not for me to say, to be honest. Dovetail have priced it how they feel appropriate. That's entirely up to you whether you think it's worth it or not. That's up to each individual. It's not for me to say either way. I think if you look at it as £10 per route, that's pretty reasonable, but my opinion, it's down to everyone else to kind of decide that. Yeah, the Pi Train, dynamic TSRs and ESRs too. Definitely with you on that one. Someone was asking about scoring and timing. Will being on time affect the scores? I believe it will, yes. So that's certainly a good thing. Callum, if you honk, it puts your driver score up as well. When you've got train spotters, yeah, like it. I think in general, anything to kind of bring the world to life a bit more, the kind of to help with the immersion. That's what I'm all about in the game. Is about the immersion. I'm not. All the features are very nice, but for me, I like driving. So anything to do with immersion, like the suspension upgrades, the volumetric fog, the rain. For me, that's all good. That's all stuff that I definitely want.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Also, another thing to add for sort of immersion is hopefully, I don't know if there actually is many whistle boards on the East Coast Mainline section we're getting, but hopefully AI trains will be sounding their horn. We saw it on Nidderdale Barn, but we didn't see it on Glossop. So yeah, hopefully we'll have AI trains sounding horns at whistle boards.
I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
What, for the Nidderdale Barn?
No, in general, I didn't realise AI trains didn't sound their horn at whistle boards. And I just passed Who Junction. I don't think I sounded my horn at the whistle board, so I'm... Tea and biscuits with the manager. Locomotive Location Livery. Gregory Allen, you are the third one on my screen. Number 6.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Gonna give you number 6, see if we can get that. Locomotive Livery. 10 seconds, guys. MegaSim, normally when we do these locomotive location liveries, someone gets it inevitably in like the first box. So this is going well. We've had no right answers yet.
I wanted it to be a challenge.
I tell you what, I've got some footage from Dovetail, and I am planning to put that together in a vlog at some point. One of the things, if you were in any doubt as to whether the people that work there are railway enthusiasts, when you walk through their office past all the computers, at the back of the office there's a massive work in progress model railway. I mean, there's a sign up that says "Welcome to Dovetail Games Model Railway Club." I've got some pictures of it. I'll post them up, but that's kind of like, yeah. If you had any doubt that these guys were enthusiasts, there's your proof. Cerise is it Francois or Francois? I might pronouncing that completely wrong, I think. Francois. Sorry, thank you very much. Good to meet you the other day, by the way, bud. See it, say it, sorted. We have a button for that on here. Let's see.
If you see something that doesn't look right, report it to a member of staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. See it, say it, sorted.
I think Joe and Stephen didn't hear that, the see it, say it, sorted announcement. I've spared you.
Unfortunately not, no. Well, unfortunately not.
You must hear that so often, Joe.
Oh, too much. Too much.
Well, with me, it's usually the voice of the train manager that usually says it. So yeah, with you, Joe, it's all the automated announcements. So I don't get that on my trains.
700s every bloody time.
Oh dear, it's pronounced Francois. Thank you very much, bud. Is it Preston, AJ's Gaming? It's not Preston. You're getting closer. It's closer than Sussex. Richard, you're in big trouble. What did I do? Tell me. Richard overshoot. No, I didn't. Is it Preston? No, it's definitely not Preston. Definitely not Preston. Let's do another round because I've done my usual trick of not doing any at the beginning of the stream and then rushing it at the end so we get it finished. Get those numbers in.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
What, 2 numbers?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, we're
2 numbers.
As we're nearly at the end of the route, I've got a Chinese coming because I'm Fat Richard. I've lost 5 kilos though. I've got to find it again. Wiki 390, Blackpool. Not Blackpool. Right, we'll do the 3rd and the 4th then. So that is 22 and 22. Wiki 390, AJ's Gaming 22, and Richard Wilson number 12. So we'll do 22 and 12. Let's do that right now.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
I'll give you 22. And I'll give you 12. Bit more of our location revealed there. There is a train in there somewhere, I promise. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Always interested to hear your thoughts in the chat. So is there anything we haven't covered regarding Train Sim World 4? I think we've sort of covered most of the core features, and we sort of spoke briefly about the routes that are on there. Callum, I haven't ordered Chinese yet. I've got to do that. And unwind and relax your mental health. It's not Bournemouth. Yeah, I think we've probably covered most of the main features.
Yeah, I think features-wise, but Vectron, have we touched on the Vectron?
I am a fan of the Vectron. Now, I've seen a little bit of criticism in the forums that the screens are not correct, but I can neither confirm nor deny that because I don't really have much knowledge of the Vectron. Other than having travelled on them a few times in Germany and spotted them. See my train driver on tour video over on the channel somewhere. I am a huge fan of the Vectron. That thing is a beast. Absolute beast.
I believe it's going to be it's going to be attached with Riesa Dresden, isn't it? And then it's going to add, I think, is it layers onto the Vorarlberg?
Yeah, I believe that's what they said. It'd be lovely on Riesa Dresden because Vectrons are literally everywhere in Germany. The next thing I want to see is a Stadler Eurodual. So if we're doing Stadler trains, let's have a 68 and the Chiltern route. Not Reading, Gregory, not Reading.
Yeah, I think they said there's going to be a scenario, I think, on the new German-Austrian route. But we've not talked about livery designer as well.
Of course, livery designer. I'm not too clued up on livery designer, so would one of you two like to fill us in?
Yeah, so easy to use. You're able to have text entry. I think that's going to be quite a good thing. Putting in Southeastern, you'd have to go to each individual letter and create them. Now you just type them in. So that looks good. And also 1,000 layers. I think 300 was the top one. I'm not great on liveries. I've never been, so I let everyone else do the hard work, and I just drive the trains with their awesome liveries on. But I think having 1,000 layers is going to bring a little bit more into it, especially with the Azuma, the 801. Hopefully we're going to see the IET, the Nova 1, the Paragon, the Lumo, the Aurora. I'm trying to think of all the others. I can't remember. Does anyone know what the Avanti West Coast name? What the Avanti West Coast 8XX, because I can't remember which one they are. What they're calling theirs.
We're doing the testing and commissioning on those, so I probably should know that, but I don't.
But yeah, I think livery design is going to look good, and hopefully we're going to get some really good liveries, a bit more than what we've got at the moment.
So one of the things that I think they did mention with that is you've now got the ability to turn liveries on and off.
That'll be good.
So if you
that's the one, wasn't it? Yeah. So you don't see it everywhere.
So if you created a wacky livery, you're not always going to see random liveries coming in the game. You're going to be able to select what you do and don't want, which I think is quite nice. One of the things they've never had in Livery Editor, and I don't know if there's a reason for it, is the ability to add images. Just upload PNG files or something. I think that would be game changing, and I'm quite surprised we don't have that. I'm sure there's probably a technical reason for it. GT.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you're just answering that question I was going to answer.
About the Vectron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the answer is not at release, but there will be a Loco pack released later on.
Same with the Flying Scotsman.
And also a hard copy as well. Have they confirmed there's going to be a hard copy yet? Or that might be like Train Sim World 3 where it's after launch as well?
Yeah, I've not seen anywhere a hard copy confirmed. That would be... I mean, does anyone have a disc drive on their computer? I suppose PlayStation and Xbox have still got disc drives, but yeah. Coming at it purely from a PC perspective there. Someone's asking for Locomotive Location livery. Go on, let's have two more numbers on this again.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
James, I pre-ordered Train Sim 4 Deluxe a while ago, and all the negative reviews on it's leaving me doubting, but my hopes are really high and it looks really good so far. All I will say, James, is that judge it for yourself. There's a lot of people who are quite unhappy with what Dovetail have offered, but as is the case in most things, those who are unhappy speak the loudest. You know, you don't often hear people saying how great things are. People tend to be more negative. If people are going to leave comments, they tend to be negative. So, you know, it was the same when Train Sim World 3 come out. Lots of people were criticising it, and it's been quite successful as a game. Not saying it's perfect, there's a lot wrong with it. So yeah, kind of don't listen to the comments necessarily and just kind of judge it on your own merit. We're going with Wookie 390. You're doing well today, Wookie, with your timing. And Pete 888, number 2, and number 17. As soon as we come to a stand at Gillingham, platform number 3. So have we got a confirmed release date for it yet? I believe we have.
Yes. It's, well, I think 21st of September is early access, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
And 26th is full release.
Yeah, they're the dates at the moment.
I have just come in way too fast against the red signal. But never mind. Fantastic. Hopefully those dates don't move too much. Right, okay, number 2, number 17.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
I'll give you both of those boxes. One after the other. People watching on TikTok can't see this. You have to watch the YouTube stream to get this bit. Do you know what? I'm going to give you 20 and 25 as well, because we've only got like another station or 2 to go on this. And I'm really hoping somebody's going to get the location on this pretty soon. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, Sandbrook's definitely approaching the red too fast. Of course, if I was driving... So if you've not seen my videos before, guys, I am a freight train driver based in the southeast, former passenger train driver. If I'm driving a train in real life, I don't tend to be looking at live chats, and I tend to be concentrating on what I'm doing. So I promise I am better in real life. I hope. It fills you with confidence, doesn't it? What are we getting for location? M Train says Newark Northgate. Northern Princess says Newark Northgate's probably Azuma. Phil's Gaming says Oxenholme. Gary says Doncaster. Formula 47 says Battleships. Yeah, that's an idea. Johnny Simulator Gaming has gone Newark Northgate. Mr. Phil B has gone Peterborough. One of those answers is correct. Drew, definitely not Jamaica. One of those answers is correct. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. So have we got any last questions? Because we are within the last 10 minutes. About Train Sim World 4 that we can possibly try and answer. Callum, I'd love to see NPC's phones ringing. I've had a cab ride and you can hear people's phone ringing. Always Samsung ringtone. Yeah, no, I did speeding. I did kind of say about that earlier, Callum. Yeah, when you're in the cab of trains, of passenger trains, you can normally hear the noise behind you and sort of phones ringing and bits and bobs. So yeah, that would be quite nice. Two yellows, 1.6 miles from Raynham, guys. Let's do one more round of Locomotive Location Livery. Go on, come on.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
So as we are coming to the end of the stream, I am going to press that like and subscribe button. We've had over 200 people in most of the stream, which has been absolutely amazing. It's kind of the most we've ever had in. So thank you very much, guys. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. Consider subscribing. That would be awesome. Do go and check out Stephen's channel, MegaSim, and Joe's channel, The British Ace. I'm going to end up having a spad here because I'm going way too fast. You'll find links to their channels in the description below. They make really good train sim content and bits and bobs. You're primarily train sim content, I think. Train sim classic, train sim world, Stephen.
Yeah, Train Sim World mainly, a bit of Train Sim Classic as well. I have gone into other games, but yeah, mainly the Train Sim stuff, Dovetail.
And of course, Joe, your Train Sim, you do some OMSI and bits and bobs in there as well, and ETS and sort of general simulator stuff.
Yeah, bit of everything, but mostly just buses and trains. That's my main interest.
And of course, Stephen, you got is it Train Real World? Have I got that right?
Yeah, Train Real World. So yeah, I decided to separate that. So yeah, as I visit different areas of the country for my work and also personal trips as well, I was on Midland Pullman. So yeah, trying to showcase that and if I remember, I put in the price of the ticket. So yeah, just trying to change it up a bit and have some different routes going on.
Yeah, so definitely do head over and check out these guys as well. And I think one of the things we've spoken about before is sort of doing more collaboration and stuff between all the sort of Dovetail ambassadors, and everything will be really, really good going forward. So, yeah. What have we got? Locomotive Location Livery. Gregory says ambient noise would annoy me. Right, we're going to go with the... I've got 19 and 17, as we're pulling very slowly into Raynham.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
We've had 17, so let's do 19, as that was one of the ones we picked. And I'm going to give you 18 as well. Hey, we have train. Let us know in the chat, guys, what you think that is. I reckon we're going to get it from that one. CJ Trainspotting would love to see some Colas test trains as of Pack 36. Yeah, a Dibzo actually would be a good shout. I would fully support that. And some Colas test trains. Yeah, definitely here for that. Slowing down for the 15. M Trains, Newark Northgate 801. AJ's Gaming, Newark Northgate Azuma. The Diamond's gone Grantham. Mia's gone Azuma Peterborough. One of the things I want to know on the East Coast Mainline, are we going to have, I believe they're still there, the 373 stop car markers on the platforms for the old LNER White Rose service? That would be pretty cool if we've got those in there. Colas Tampa Tuesday. Put some brakes in before we hit the stops here. Do you know what? A Tampa would be pretty good, or sort of an on-track machine. I can imagine lots of kind of decent scenarios and stuff you could do with that. Yeah, that could definitely work. Right, it's full service, DRA into neutral. Open the doors on the left-hand side. We've got loads of passengers getting off the 395 there. I think that's probably unrealistic because I don't think Raynham sees that much traffic. And tail lights on. One of the things I love about the Southeastern High Speed is just how much traffic there is on here. Definitely one of my favourite routes, if not my most favourite route in the game. So, guys, let's press that one.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
I am 100% going to give this to Northern Princess Productions, although Northern Princess Productions, you did guess the train, but you were correct. So, thank you very much, Stephen MegaSim, for sending that in.
It's time to reveal today's Locomotive Livery Location.
Through Newark Northgate, which is absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much. Freight King, hello. We are just finishing up, but you're very welcome here. So brilliant. There we go, guys. That is it for today's stream. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button, consider subscribing. That would be absolutely awesome. Do check out Joe's channel, Stephen's channel, MegaSim and the British Ace. Links in the description below. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. It's been absolutely brilliant. It's been quite a chilled out evening. I hope we've managed to answer a few questions, and yeah, I think we've been pretty fair about it as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
So there we go. I am going to press the end button on the stream. If you want, I better do all the closing stuff first. If you want to, guys, you can follow my train drivers' day-to-day life on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that sort of thing on the screen for you now. It'd be great to have you over there. You're also more than welcome to join the Discord server. We have a very friendly and inclusive Discord community, and you'll find an invitation link in the description below. Callum, I am most definitely going to enjoy my Chinese. Thank you very much to everyone who's been moderating tonight and looking after us. Thank you very much to all the channel members. Thank you to Stephen and Joe for joining in. Press that button there. That should hopefully start the end music. I think that's working. And I shall see you all in the next stream, whenever that may be. Thanks for watching.